Have you ever felt overwhelmed with all that's going on in the world? Sometimes we don't realize that we can make a difference. My name is Debbie Van Grieken, and it is my hope to inspire you to take small steps towards social impact. Join us each week as we have conversations with those who have taken simple steps towards living a more sustainable and socially conscious lifestyle. If you want to make social impact, let's start small. The Small Steps podcast is proudly sponsored by Moya Shea Products. As a listener, enjoy 15% off your online purchase. Use code SMALLSTEPS15 at checkout. At Moya, we believe in people helping people. Supporting the local and global communities that help our organization succeed is very important to us. We apply a Fairtrade framework when purchasing raw materials, supporting farmers and families. Thinking global and acting local, Moya works with organizations to better the lives of children through education and fair trade. Are you looking for the best moisturizer for beautiful, healthy, glowing skin? Our Shea products are superb moisturizers and have exceptional healing properties for those suffering from skin issues. Check out these products and our wellness line at moyasheabutter.com. Welcome back to the Start Small podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Van Grieken, and I'm thrilled today to have with me Diana Salvati. She's a wife, mother of 2 boys, and founder and owner of Saltbox Sash. After a single impactful fair trade purchase, a passion for all things home, and a long-time dream of starting her own business, Diana decided to start Saltbox Sash, an online shop for fair trade home decor and gifts. She enjoys advocating for fair trade, sharing home design ideas, and pursuing a sustainable lifestyle that feels approachable. We're so happy to have you.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you for having me today. It's great to be here.
You know, I almost kind of feel like an instant connection with people who are boy moms. I just feel sometimes that automatic, like, oh, these are my people. And then with everything that you're doing with fair trade and sustainability, you know, we've never met before. We follow each other on Instagram, but already I feel the connection. It's just wonderful. So I'm so happy that you could be with us today. You know, you're a small but growing business. So tell me where you're located and when you started.
Okay, so I'm in Westchester, New York. I operate my business out of my home. We're fortunate enough that I have the space that I can house all of my inventory in our home. And I started in February 2020, which
wow, what a not great time to start.
Little did I know the road I would go down, but you know, it's fine.
Well, we have to get into the origin story then, because I love hearing why people start their business. So what made you start a fair trade business?
So I've always had a love of home decor and all things home. And it really just started as my response to having my own fair trade experience. You know, every year my sisters and I, we do this thing called Sisters Day. And that year it was a Sisters Weekend. So in 2018, we went to a craft show. And while I was there, I went to a booth and I met a woman who was selling fair trade home decor. And, you know, she just started explaining that it was fair trade. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I thought fair trade was just coffee and chocolate. And
right.
My knowledge of fair trade was really minimal. And I ended up purchasing a heart-shaped jewelry box from her. And I just loved it. And I remember walking away from that purchase feeling different. I felt like I had done something good, but, you know, it meant something because she had explained the impact. She had explained, you know, how it was made, where it was made, and who made it. And when I got home, I opened it up and there was this tiny little tag inside and it said, made sustainably, made ethically, see the impact at matterboomi.com. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to matterboomi.com and I'm going to learn about that. What does that mean? So I go to their website and I just fell in love with their mission. You know, they partner with artisans in India and create economic and sustainable opportunities. They invest in vocational training and literacy programs, and they provide fair wage opportunities, particularly to women artisans working towards breaking the cycle of gender inequality. So that was kind of my this is it moment. If I'm going to be in home decor, then I want to do fair trade. You know, and that was the time in my life where my boys were going to be in school full time. And this was that time where I felt like I wanted to do something that was my own. I wanted to move in a direction of, you know, having my own business. I've always wanted to own my own business. And I knew I wanted it to be in home decor, but I wasn't sure which path I would go. So once I discovered this and had this experience, this impactful purchase, it just led me down this road. And so I started researching, fair trade, and I started partnering with other fair trade enterprises to source my products. And that's really how it started.
And it really just snowballs from there, doesn't it? It really becomes, the more you learn, kind of becomes a passion. You want to just share that with other people.
Yes, you really do. And it leads you down other roads as well. Once I became invested in fair trade, well, now I'm looking at low waste, zero waste lifestyle. I'm looking at sustainability. I'm looking at minimalism.
It's all interconnected. I just love that about it, right? Just leads you down this amazing path, and you feel like every aspect of your life can be changed just by going down that path. Yeah.
And even just in small little parts, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's really, what I've learned through this process, and what I'm still learning, because there's still so much more to learn. That's my story. That's how
That's amazing. I love it. Now you have to tell me, is there any significance to the name of your store?
So Saltbox it's a style of home, a Saltbox home. It's popular in the New England area, Connecticut and Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, those areas. It's popular there. And it's a style of home that has 2 stories in the front, 1 story in the back. And so it has this very significantly, sloped roof line. And I don't live in that style home, but I just love that style home. I just love the name. And so that's really the significance behind that. And then Sash really just calls attention to the fact that it's kind of that finishing touch. That's what I sell. I sell the accents. I sell the things that tell the story, what make a house a home. So that's kind of where the sash comes in.
That's so cool. I love that. I never even really thought about that. That's so true. The sash is kind of just that last.
I can't take the credit for it. My husband definitely helped me out.
That's great. Husbands are so good. Mine has been really supportive through this whole journey too. So it's been.
I don't know what I would do without mine.
No, me neither. It's been great. Tell me some of the favorite items that you have in your store and that you sell. And is there any cool stories or significant stories behind the items that you have?
So the heart-shaped box that I purchased, that is something I still carry in my store. One of the first items I was so happy to carry. It's made of mango wood. And what's cool about mango wood is that when the tree stops producing the fruit, they harvest the wood so that they can make cool products like that box, picture frames and trays. And so that's definitely one of my most favorite products, something that I'll always carry as long as it's available. Another product that I really love, it's a kissy stone. It's made of kissy stone. It's called the Kenyan wedding sculpture. And it's 2 loops that are made to represent 2 people that have been joined together by marriage. And it's a stone that's only found in Western Kenya in the town of Kisii. And what I love about it, again, is the natural material. It's always going to look different. The colors can vary from cream all the way to pink and anywhere in between. So you can have a piece that is just cream, or cream with little brown spots, or cream with little pink spots. And that's one of the things that I really love about fair trade products, is that because they're handmade, because they're made with natural, sustainable materials, local materials, you're always going to have a little bit of a variation, which I believe adds to their beauty and their character and their uniqueness, something that you can't get if it were made by a machine.
Yeah, absolutely. So literally each piece is one of a kind. So many of our listeners are new to fair trade. Some are starting to take some small steps towards switching to fair trade items and supporting fair trade businesses. What kind of advice can you give people who are just starting to make these changes? Especially, like you said yourself, you kind of thought it was just coffee and tea.
A whole world opened up. Yeah. So I would say don't aim for perfection. That's the first thing. Don't aim for trying to change everything all at once, because then you won't do it.
Right.
Try to take little things. And if all you can do right now is switch your coffee, that's awesome. That is something. Mm-hmm. If all you can do is change your bags from plastic bags to, those totes that you bring with you to the supermarket, that's great too. I think secondhand is really important. Buying secondhand. Many of the products, the pieces that I have in our home, I purchased secondhand at a thrift shop, at a flea market. And I don't go there mindlessly purchasing. I go there with very specific idea of what I'm looking for. And these pieces, they're usually pieces that have a great story attached to them, that are old and, just kind of weathered and have character. And you can get it for a fraction of the cost. So I think when you have that, you're incorporating pieces from your favorite fair trade or ethical shops. That's a great way to mitigate, the cost. Because sometimes I've had people say to me, well, fair trade is so much more expensive. And that can be true, but it's not always true.
Right.
So I feel like when we're being more intentional and more mindful about our purchases, that's a way to offset the cost of maybe a fair trade of it being a little bit more expensive. But again, that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
And another great way to support your favorite fair trade shops is to sign up for their newsletters. You always get, 20 to 15% off or free shipping. There's always some kind of, deal if you sign up.
Yeah, a great incentive. Yeah.
Right. It's a great incentive. And then you're made aware of sales when they're having them. And that's a great way to save up for those items and to kind of get around the little bit of extra expense if it is there. Again, because it's not always more expensive. And then just in our daily lives, I started making my own cleaners for the house, like my own multi-purpose cleaners, just using simple things. I think if we move in a way, just again, taking those small steps, just not being overwhelmed, not shopping fast fashion. So again, not every piece of clothing can come from ethical fair trade, but can you shop at a place like ThredUp or a thrift shop or a secondhand shop where you can buy really beautiful pieces of clothing that are high quality?
Right, exactly.
Cost you as much. So you can do that, and then you can save up for those really special pieces from your favorite fair trade shop, from an ethical business that is local to you.
That's great. Now you're a mom. We've said you got 2 boys. What are their ages?
So my oldest is 12 and my youngest just turned 9.
So they're great ages to be learning about this kind of stuff. So I'm curious for, all the other moms out there who are raising kids, how do we teach our kids? How have you been teaching your children about fair trade and promoting fair trade in the house as well as your community? Are you promoting awareness? Like, just share with us some of those tips and what you're doing.
I think the best way to do that is to really just have organic conversations that, are not pushy. I don't ever want to be pushy about it or judgy. And for my children, I really just try to invite them into what I do. So they see all this inventory arriving at the house, Mommy, what's this? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Why don't you help me open up this box and we'll talk about it? And, just making it fun for them. We carry this picture frame that is made of upcycled bike chain. And that was fun for them to know. I told them the story how in India, one of the primary modes of transportation is mopeds and bikes. And so they have a lot of these bicycle chains and they use them, they upcycle them to make products like clocks and picture frames. And they loved hearing that. So just presenting it to them in a way that they can relate to, that makes it fun for them. And the thing that I really want them to understand when we're having these conversations is that these items are made by people. So many of the products that we enjoy in our daily lives are not made by machines, they're made by people. And those people have families, they have needs, they want to send their children to school, they have a family to feed. And so I just think it's really important that that's not lost on them, that, we go to a market and everything is there and it's packaged up pretty and, you sort of forget, well, somebody made that. So that's, the conversation that I try to present to my children when we're talking about fair trade in a way that makes it understandable for them. And then the same in my community. If somebody asks me what I do for a living and I say, well, I sell fair trade home decor, inevitably, well, what's that? What is that? So that's my opportunity to present it to them. And that's really how I approach it.
Yeah, that's great. I talked a lot about kind of my experience back in my first episode of exposing my kids to fair trade. And it was actually on a global literacy trip that I had taken with my sons, where we were staying in a small village of Ekbalam, Mexico, where I first discovered about fair trade. And it was so amazing. Now, my boys are much older than yours. So when they were teenagers, I was able to do a lot of traveling with them and take them to these remote areas and have them see firsthand the impact that it can have on a community, and to see communities that are not experiencing fair trade. So experiencing, working in the sweatshops, working in resorts for pennies a day. So they were able to see and really connect with the concepts. And I think that was so impactful for them in their journey as they start to make these choices as adults now. And it's always cool for me to see when my kids come back. I have, a son in university and he comes home and, the backpack gets dropped and out falls the fair trade coffee beans and, they're constantly at the thrift shops for clothes and they're mindful of the things that they're wearing. And it's amazing. And I think it's so great for families to be able to talk about this and explore these issues. And so important that we instill these family's values, but as adults, for them to also, seek that out and question. They're always questioning. Why is this? Why is it that this way? Why is a t-shirt $5 when I know that it costs way more than $5?
Yeah, that is so true. My husband has a phrase he likes to say. He says, cheap is expensive.
Exactly.
So true. Because if you buy a t-shirt for $5 and it barely makes it through the wash 2 times, how many times did you have to spend $5, for it, right?
And someone's paying those costs.
Fairtrade presents, I think, the kind of world that we all want. And we can't be perfect, but we can all try to move away from what our society has been driven towards, which is mass consumption, mindless consumption, and moving it more towards, less is more, buying quality. If you buy a t-shirt that costs $50, $60 and it lasts you for 5 years, well, that was worth it. 10 years, whatever.
Yeah. And I think it's just really so important to bring this awareness, because a lot of people like you, like me, we didn't even know that this was a thing. I mean, we just kind of assumed that people were being paid fairly. I mean, it's just a common sense thing. So when you picked up that jewelry box and I picked up, the items, the coffees, the teas, I'm just immediately thinking, what? Like, this isn't the case. So I know there's a lot of people out there. And so we have to keep spreading this message. And because I'm convinced that the second you know better, you do better. I mean, it's just like people genuinely want to be fair and want to, have integrity and feel that they're making a difference and that they're not hurting other people. And so I think people want to do this. They just it has to be brought to their awareness. We always celebrate in the Fairtrade community. We celebrate in May, International Fair Trade Day. It's the second Saturday of May. I know I kind of start thinking around this time about some promotions and awareness things I can start doing to promote fair trade positively in my community, on Instagram, social media, things like that. Do you have anything that you are working on or wanting to start thinking about to promote fair trade?
Yeah. So last year, what we did was on social media, we basically, the week leading up to Fair Trade Day, we broke down the fair trade principles and just explaining them in great detail and just sharing that as a means of advocating for fair trade. And this year, I think we'll probably do something the same as far as social media goes, but I think I want to take it a step further and promote other fair trade businesses. Through social media, I've come to meet, women like yourself, other women in fair trade chocolate, fair trade fashion, fair trade makeup, so many other businesses. And I think that if we all promote and support one another, I want to call special attention to those businesses because we're all working towards that same goal. So when we support each other and we advocate for each other, we're all going to win. And that means that people are learning about fair trade.
That's awesome. I love it. So tell me what you kind of see for your future. I mean, you're only in this a year. You started in the most challenging year. So what vision do you have for your business?
My heart is in fair trade. That's primarily the direction I want to go. But as I continue to grow my business, my goal is also to partner with ethical companies that are right here in the United States as well. So for example, we just partnered with a candle company based right here in the US, and they provide skills and training and meaningful work for young mothers in Chicago. That's kind of, the next part of what I want to do. I think it's really important to support locally as well. So in my long-term goal, if we're talking about big dreams, is I would love to have a store, an actual shop in my community as a means of expanding products and services and being able to connect with my community on a much deeper level than I can right now. I mean, I'm doing the best that I can, but that would be, a dream for me.
Okay, and then please, for my sake, who likes decorating but needs some help, I hope you're going to have some YouTube channel or some kind of video series of how to decorate, how to incorporate these fair trade items into some decor. I mean, I need those kinds of things.
I feel like Fairtrade home decor stands right with other, is just as beautiful, if not more, decor that you can incorporate into your home, right? The pieces are unique. They're made of sustainable materials. They have a story to tell. So absolutely, they are definitely a standout in anyone's home. And that would definitely be a goal too, is to work with people, that are local to me if they wanted help decorating their spaces. And really just sharing little tips and tricks on Instagram and showing how areas areas, small areas of the home can be styled,
right.
with those products, and how they're so interchangeable. You have one basket, it can be used in the kitchen, it can be used in the bathroom, it can be used by the entryway. So little things like that are always fun to share.
That's great. So yeah, we talked, it's been a challenging year. So you started your business right at the beginning of the pandemic. Tell us a little bit about some of those challenges that you faced and how you've managed.
So because I started, like you said, right at the beginning of the pandemic, suddenly now my kids are home from school and I was just entering a point where it's like, great, I can work for, 5-6 hours a day on this. It didn't work out that way. They were home fully until September. And even at that point, they're only going to school 2 days a week. I have to manage my time better. I have to wake up earlier and try to do really early and try to do my work so that I'm available to them because, my older one, he manages just fine on his own, but, he'll still need me throughout the day, and my younger one.
I know. I mean, it was such a challenge, even I think for everyone, but especially for, parents with young kids and stuff. I felt so bad. I knew what I was experiencing where I had been working from home all along. I mean, I run my business out of my home as well. I have a large farm property, so it's been great to be able to do that. But I all of a sudden had my husband home. He was working from home. Then my 2 university students decided that it was better food at my house than at the dorm. So they were home. And then, my one son, he's getting married. So his fiance would be here too. So she would be doing the work. All of a sudden, my home was overtook and the internet was starting to go slow. So yeah, the challenges were, I didn't have little kids running around, but I certainly had a lot of people to try to navigate.
It's a lot. My husband works from home too. He's not here today, but he has a very demanding job and he needs to, he can't really help throughout the day. So, I'm having to navigate that, which is fine, but I feel in a way it's been a great teacher for me. It's been a great way for me to prioritize, my time. It's been a great way for me to, focus on what I can on my business. And really it's kind of nice in a way I've had to go slow, that's been okay too. Not the ideal situation, but we're managing the best that we can. And I feel like also the best thing that I've learned too is that I really have to take care of myself because I am no good to anyone, in my family if I don't take care of myself. So learning to prioritize that means that I am much more present for them. I am much more present for my business and everything just goes around much more smoothly. And it took me a while for me to wrap my head around that because as moms, we're like, no, we just have to push forward. We have to keep going and we have to do everything. But we always tend to put ourselves last.
It's such a great point because I think too, a lot of entrepreneurs are very, driven, but I think when you're involved in the fair trade business as well, you tend to carry a lot of burdens. I know personally myself, I carry the weight of the village that I work with. I mean, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this pandemic's hit. And if I don't get everything in place so that they've got income, then they're not going to be able to eat and feed their kids. And I mean, I lay awake at night thinking about it and it's so a lot of pressure. And then we tend to get run down or start making mistakes or, just start getting into that spiral heading down. So some great advice from you to really start taking care of ourselves and making that a priority as well. Something that I didn't do great at the beginning. I'm starting to now get a little bit better. I was definitely one of these people with the COVID-15. I say it was the COVID-19 that I actually gained. So I'm now in the process of trying to get that back down. But yeah, it's been crazy. Now, one of the things that happened for me is I, unfortunately, with 2020, had to cancel my trip to Africa. I usually go and visit the farmers that I work with and stuff. Now, I don't think you've done much traveling or anything like that with the artisans, but is it something that when it becomes safe to do so, do you have any desires or hopes to maybe?
I would absolutely love to travel to either Africa or India or both. And I would love to do it as a family. I would really love to bring my family into it and have my children and have just us be immersed in the culture and just have my children experience what it's like in these countries. And to see the artisans work, to meet with them, to hear their challenges, that is absolutely an ultimate.
And to hear their triumphs too, right? Because there's some amazing, because of the work we're doing, there's some amazing triumphs in that too. And, I know a lot of the artisans that I've worked with in the past and present, I think that was one of the most impactful things that my kids related to, is that exactly like that. They were kids exactly like them. They loved to play soccer and they loved to, listen to music and dance, and they were happy. And my kids also saw that they were happy with a lot less.
Yes.
And that was so amazing to see. And just that they didn't need every gadget. They didn't need every new technology, that they could, at 3:00 when school was done, could run out to a soccer field and kick a ball around. And it didn't even matter if the ball was like half deflated. It was like still the best fun ever.
They're having fun with what they have available.
Exactly.
You don't need very much.
No, exactly. So I think it's those kinds of lessons that are so important for the kids to see, that how similar we all are.
That is something that I would definitely love for my kids to experience. And, in today's world, the kids are growing up and they're being sold every gadget, every toy. You need this, you need that. Your happiness is just around the corner, just with this next toy and this next item. And it would be great for them to see that that's not true, to actually see it in other cultures, how they are perfectly happy with what they don't need so much.
That's great. Well, I just know we're going to put all of your information in our show notes, but if you want to tell us how people can connect with you, first of all, especially on social media, so they can see the lovely pictures that you post and the products that you have.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm at Saltbox Sash, Facebook as well, and then my website is saltboxsash.com.
That's wonderful. And I'm going to encourage people to reach out to you and ask any questions or take a look at your products. And I'm sure they're going to love everything that they purchase from you. I'm wishing you the best. I think this is I love to see all of the different items that Fairtrade is expanding into. I mean, myself with skincare and now you with home decor. And it's not just coffee and tea and chocolate. So there's so many options for us all out there to really embrace these values and to be able to live out these values. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. You're an encouragement to others, an inspiration. And I look forward to seeing where your business is a year from now, 10 years from now, because I know it's going to be growing. If you can make it through that first year with a pandemic, I think you're going somewhere. So take care. And I really enjoyed talking with you. I can't wait to do it again. Thank you for listening to Start Small. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found a small step you can take today. Make sure you share it with a friend. And if you have not done so yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you are enjoying this podcast, consider taking a moment and leaving us an honest review in your Apple podcasting app so more people can be inspired to take small steps towards social impact.